Welcome everyone to the start of the United States campaign for Victory at Sea Pacific. I did a gameplay overview and tutorial video, but this is actually kind of a different start because I had some bugs and I redid the tutorial a couple times to get a bug-free start. So the drums up here, I think the only difference is I was having an issue of the drum teleporting. I think the teleportation issue is mainly due to the tutorial. I'm just guessing, could be wrong. But anyways, here we are. We're in this North Pacific Theater, or I guess really just the Pacific Theater. The war to date so far for the United States has gone that we entered the war December 7th, 1941, the quote-unquote Day of Infamy, when the Japanese Navy attacked at Pearl Harbor, the surprise attack. Now they did some damage. They sunk a bunch of our battleships. The remainder of our battleships actually for some reason left port, so I now have instructed them to go back to repair. I'm sending all of my fleet, almost everyone, except for the Task Force 17, which is already out by Makin Atoll. I'm sending them back to Pearl Harbor to do any kind of upgrades. We have plenty of upgrades that we can do, which are going to make the ships mostly just a lot better against aircraft, a lot of anti-aircraft improvements. But some of the improvements give them, actually a lot of them give radar, which if there's already radar in the task force, it won't help, but I just usually upgrade every ship I can, just so every ship is the best. So we'll be, in this episode, things are going to go a little bit slowly because we'll be talking about some of the game mechanics, introducing some new stuff from the tutorial, but I do consider this episode 1 of a series and not episode 2, so this is kind of like a new start. We're going to wash our hands of the tutorial, although I'm beginning from the same starting point as the end of the tutorial. It's different than the last video, so what do I want to talk about first? Well, let's look at what Task Force 17 is doing and already has done. So after December 7th, the only actions of the war so far have been that Task Force 3 sortied west of Johnston Island and engaged a small Japanese fleet of 2 destroyers and 1 light cruiser. The Indianapolis, a very fast, deadly Portland-class heavy cruiser, easily dispatched that group, and that was the main action. Otherwise, Task Force 17 with the Yorktown conducted a raid on Makin Atoll. We kind of decimated all the coastal fortification guns, any of the AAA, the barracks. This port is now ripe for an amphibious invasion, which we'll probably get to sometime during this episode. Instead of being sent south to scout TARAWA, which I guess I can just very easily do with Task Force 17 itself, the USS Drum is being sent northwest to Marshall Islands, where she'll recon that. She'll reconnoiter Marshall Islands, and then she'll return, either she'll go north to Wake Island, or she'll return to Johnston Island, or ultimately Pearl Harbor, for an upgrade. The one thing she's missing right now is that radar, which would... I really like submarines, and I feel like they're invaluable for winning the war. They actually model most of the convoy ships of the Japanese with guns. The guns are actually more deadly than the submarine gun that the USS Drum has. So our Gato class ships, I don't know, I think it's supposed to be Gato, but I will probably constantly pronounce it Gato just because I know a little bit of Spanish, and that's cat in Spanish, but I think it's Gato fish based on some fish in the Caribbean or something, I don't know. But we want to build a bunch of these. Now, most of the big ships have to be built in the homeland, on the mainland of the United States, which is abstracted here at Puget Sound, Seattle, Mare Island, San Francisco, and San Diego, California, Southern California. Well, San Diego, I guess San Diego speaks for itself, right? So we'll be doing a lot of our big ship building on San Diego, but the good news is Pearl Harbor itself has the ability to build smaller ships, so we can get our destroyers here if we want. First and foremost, actually what I want to do is start building some more Gato-class submersibles. We only have a build queue of 3, so it's not as big of a shipyard as the home ports, as I was already saying, which I think have a build restriction of 6, so double. If we just unpause for a moment, these are now 13 days away from finishing, but I want to spend just a measly 5 extra war bonds to give them all radar. And these will be, if nothing else, a great early warning system. But their torpedoes are, I mean, speak for themselves. We don't have any problems with the, God, was it the Mark 14, Mark 16? I can't remember the marks. I played too much Cold Waters. I have like too many different numbers floating around in my head. Anyway, the torpedoes of the United States were extremely unreliable this early in the war, but that's not modeled into the game, so that's, well, another reason for us to build subs. So the early strategy for me is going to be take the Gilbert Islands, defend this area if I can, and then make sure I've solidified my control over the waters in the triangle, I want to call it the Tortuga Triangle, but the new triangle of interest is Hawaii, Midway, and Johnston Islands. So this is where the Japanese fleet already snuck into to do damage in Pearl Harbor. And now what we want to do is just prevent them from follow-up attacks. I think there's going to be a lot of submarines we're going to have to watch out for in this area. So for that, I guess the first thing I can demonstrate game mechanic-wise, and now this first episode is going to be bogged down, kind of mired in game mechanic talk. But I hope to get around that pretty quickly because despite the fact that we had a lot of bugs, I really want to keep playing this series because this game is really fun. It's actually very enjoyable, and I think that it's worth showcasing for everyone. So I'm actually going to get rid of these torpedo Catalinas. I don't think that the Catalinas are a good... I don't think that they're very good torpedo bombers. So I'm going to get rid of them, and instead I'm going to put in more... Well, I guess they're fine right now. What was I going to put in more of? I don't even have a... I would probably put in more Dauntless dive bombers. Yeah, okay, you know what? I'm going to. So what we're going to do is build some more SBD Dauntless dive bombers, which are very effective. And we're just going to replace these Catalinas. Now I could immediately like sell these or scrap them or whatever you want to say, which would give me a full refund. That's a nice mechanic in this game because you do encounter some bugs with airplane going, especially flying from bases and stuff, and every now and then you just lose aircraft for no reason, just some bug stuff, or at least that's what I've encountered in one of my playthroughs. Hopefully it doesn't happen again, but the good news was I was able to easily replace the aircraft because we get them for free. Now I don't want to talk too much about there's so much to talk about, but I don't want to talk too much about all the upgrades we're going to want to do, but we will want to do a lot of upgrades. Let's see if I can get... Are you also returning to port? Get you to return to port, because there's a lot of details that go into like the AA local anti-aircraft guns versus like fleet-wide defensive anti-aircraft guns. I'm not sure I want to get into that. First thing I want to do is actually return to Makin Atoll, because I had some bug previously where suddenly a torpedo... Wait, yep, there it is. So suddenly, it happened again. A PT boat fleet has spawned. What the hell? What in God's name are you doing? So I'm just going to send... we're just going to ignore that happened at all. And I'm going to send the escort of the Yorktown out, and we'll get the Yorktown herself to just reverse course, get out of the way of the other two for now. I do want her eventually to face north so that she's in a position to launch her aircraft. So, oh. Whoops. So let's pause real fast. We have enemy fleet spotted in... Okay, there they are. 2 destroyers outside of Midway. That, I think we can also deal with. We have Catalina bombers right now. But I think it's going to be better for us just to use, again, if they're close enough for our dive bombers to get to, they're going to be more effective. So I'm going to swap out. I think I ought to swap out this as well. I'd rather have more ASW, 3 ASW, 4 dive bombers. That looks really good to me. I like that. These Devastators are pretty terrible, so I'm just going to scrap this immediately. Get the 15 back for it, which is not much, but I think it's worth it. So, okay. So we're down to 651 war bonds, but we're getting our aircraft configuration all set up, which is good. Okay, so let's go back down to Makin Atoll. Make sure that... Oh, of course, I forgot to launch these. I'm going to launch 2 sets of dive bombers. Wave 1. And then we'll launch a second wave as well. As soon as they're done. I hope I'm attacking the fleet there. It looks like the United Kingdom is engaged. I think they're engaged in torpedo boats. We can't find it. Oh, there's aircraft as well, but yeah, I don't. Oh yeah, 5 torpedo boats. So against the destroyers and the battleship and all that, I don't think we're gonna have any problems there. Okay, so our first. Wait, no. Yes. Our first group of aircraft has left the base. There they are. Let's get the second one. This is kind of like a backup. We might as well be better to be safe than sorry. So I'm going to send 2 different dive bomber formations out to make sure we take care of those destroyers. They're not a huge threat, but my PT boat defense fleet is going to be absolutely useless against destroyers. They're better served. I mean, in real life, they would be better served against... They'd actually be okay against even destroyers. That's the worst case scenario, because destroyers are very maneuverable and can avoid torpedoes easily. In this game, PT boats are effectively useless because naval gun accuracy is extremely high. So let's go back down to Task Force 17. Oh my god, what are you guys doing? Do they take damage? Please, for the love of God, don't do that. Whatever you're doing, stop doing it. I think as soon as these guys spread out, we'll be okay. I'll just try to give some manual orders for the time being. Okay, look, just come to a dead stop. Don't move, Yorktown. Let Louisville get out of here first. And you go ahead and turn that way so you start heading towards those torpedo boats. We'll just do some manual control. I believe, like I said, that this is mostly... Okay, so the torpedo boats are destroyed. I believe this is mostly due to the tutorial that you have these kind of glitches. I'm guessing that you won't get these kind of terrible glitches if you just start off with the US campaign right away. So maybe I should have done that. But I don't experience these kind of issues as soon as we get beyond the tutorial. So we'll just, as soon as we get hopefully into like February, these issues will be gone. Okay, so maybe I should just keep my nose glued to the screen for a little bit. Okay, go ahead, turn, get going. That way, away from the torpedo boats. And we'll just engage these ships. They are coming at us at pretty much the optimal time, night. Also, they've gotten close. Well, I guess they're not close enough yet. Are they in range? Yeah, they're just about in range now because I did that. Let's give another turn order. There we go. Starting to line them up. I actually want the Phelps to head in the opposite direction so that one torpedo spread doesn't hit both at the same time or can't come close to hitting both at the same time. And we can see that in the last episode, in case you didn't watch it, I basically decimated the entirety of this naval base. AAA emplacements are gone. Any of their coastal guns also gone. Oh, I saw a hit. Yep, they're down to 3 of the 5. Bracketing this torpedo note 3 go. Nope, no longer bracketing, but actually sinking. Looks like... Yeah, we're going to be just okay with this. In fact, I'm pretty confident we can combine fleets, give a united fleet order at this point to move a little bit closer. Joint formation. Very powerful guns to be using, 8-inch guns to be using against a torpedo boat, but hey, if one of them hits, which it did, we win. Okay, so now let's go back over here. I think that my aircraft might, yep, they're getting close. So let's issue an order for them to get a little bit closer. We might issue this order directly. I guess what we can do is just attack. That's just a weird bug. They'll reorient in a second. I'm going to leave this one as like a backup. So we'll see if they're actually needed. Okay. And now with those torpedo boats dispatched, we're going to begin our amphibious invasion of Makin Atoll. At the same time, I do want to scout TARAWA since the drum is not going to do it. Oh. Task Force 5 is our USS Drum. They've encountered a huge convoy. 6 cargo ships, 5 oil tankers, 3 ammunition ships. Now they're in combat right away because we didn't spot them ahead of time. This would have been the merit of having radar on them. I mean radar on the drum. I'm just going to continue with this. Let her engage on her own. And what did I want to do? I wanted to send a scout aircraft down to TARAWA. Now the main thing with this scout aircraft is that I want it to get very high elevation so that it does not get shot down. We can lose one spotter aircraft, but why lose an aircraft when we don't need to? So the next thing I want to do, it looks like we have 2 fleets already in docked now. Okay, so is it time? Should we bog down for a second in some of the options? So this early in the war, our build options, if we look at it from San Diego, we don't really have that much. I mean, we have already the Yorktown class, which in my opinion is a very, very good carrier. We won't get another good carrier. The carriers are unlocked when you unlock XP. Like whole chunks of XP levels, let's call them. I don't know when the next carrier is. I'm sorry, the Saratoga is very, very quick. I'm sorry, the Lexington gets unlocked very quickly, but the Lexington, in my opinion, is not as good. The main reason is this. The Yorktown can hold 7, 7, and 10, but I believe the Lexington holds 5 dive bombers, 6 torpedo bombers, and 9 aircraft. So it has 2 less dive bombers, which in my opinion are the most effective offensive weapon, and then it has 1 less of each of these. You can think of it, I think that you can actually exchange these the same way we exchange things for the air bases. So you can think of this as having 4 more aircraft slots, and when it comes down to having either 20 or 24, that's a pretty big difference. So I mean, it's literally a 20% increase in the size, so it's significant. And what carries the upside of the Lexington is that she's actually a lot harder to kill. There's this weird name for hit points in the game. So if I just go to a fleet here, it's called damage. So we can see in the top left column that 37.8 knots. The Portland class is a very fast heavy cruiser. And then damage 26. The Enterprise had damage 51. This word damage, they don't mean anything offensive at all. What they really should mean is hit points or health, or maybe defensiveness. I don't know. I wouldn't call the hit points damage, but it's how much damage they can take. So that is, I'm sure, the philosophy behind that name. Okay, so let's go back to the bridge where we will spend most of our time. I do want to monitor this because I actually have to be looking at the port from what I've seen to correctly recon it. And I don't know which one is going to get there first. This is a slower airplane, so I believe the dive bombers are going to be doing their work first. Okay, good. So we have our 2 formations here. I think we're okay to actually watch this thing happen. Okay, so our amphibious, no. Okay, so let's move these guys closer. Stay in formation. Good, they are. And what we can see off in the distance, oh god, I forgot to give them an order to climb to 3,500. Good, they're doing it by themselves. That's fantastic. You guys also climb. The best height to dive bomb from in this game is 10,000 feet, or just something slightly over that. So get these guys in order. Okay, so what I could do is have both of these focus on one target. I'm kind of interested to see what they do just on their own. So I gave them an attack order from... Okay, we'll get back to this in a second. I gave them an attack order from the general map. Let's see if they both split up and each take a target. Or what happens. It's very noisy. There they go. They are both focusing on one target. And decimated it. Okay, good. So let's get them to climb immediately. Well, actually, they're probably going to get out of the way very quickly. Let's initiate an attack on the remaining destroyer. And I'm pretty sure that those guys are going to take care of business. Usually even one won't miss, but definitely two does not, usually. Let's see how the drum's doing, I guess. She's in... I don't know what she's going to be able to do. Her main benefit of being in this engagement is the fact that she was able to spot this convoy. Okay, she's on the surface, but the Japanese guns, as I said, their convoy ships have guns which are actually superior to the drum's guns, the Gato class guns. They're longer range, they do more... Actually, they might do the same damage. Now, you would expect in this situation that the drum... we'll probably just end up using our torpedoes. So, we'll get her to submerge. She actually, because of the tutorial, I was able to use my deck guns to sink the two ships. We have all 10 torpedoes, but that's actually not that many. I mean, so at most we can sink 10 ships. Go attack. Go attack. Is that the lead? Yeah, go attack this thing. There's no destroyer escorts here, so good luck. Probably should just tell her to submerge. Do that immediately. Okay, then the next item of interest for us... Oh my god, did they... Wait a second. You didn't attack. What are you doing? So we lost an aircraft, but we didn't drop our bombs. Okay, so this is now the high priority target to focus on, because apparently AI is having some issues. Did lose an aircraft, so I guess we did dive on them, but we didn't actually drop our bombs. Sometimes... I guess this is why I like to look at things on the tactical map. Missed that one. Missed both. Okay, at least they actually did what they were supposed to, which is attempt to bomb them. And we have one level bomber. We actually... So the base is currently left to launch combat aircraft on its own. I can disable this, and I do recommend you do disable it. I will disable it when we have big fleets coming by, because they'll just kind of send too much stuff or the wrong stuff to counter the wrong target. I prefer to control it myself, but otherwise I like this option on because that means that they'll be sending spotters on their own, which is very nice. It's how you can detect some fleets. So this is the next most important thing, so I'm going to just hope that the level bomber does the job. Hey, even if it doesn't, I guess what we can do is get one other Catalina to be a bomber for the day. And now that you're already taken off. The game knows what I wanted to do. Wait, I think it's taken off. Yeah, here's my Catalina. And is she gonna, what's her plan? I think she's just scouting, so we'll send her to attack directly. Okay, so hopefully one of those guys gets the job done. This bomber's gonna level bomb from, like, does not matter. You can be at even 4,000 and be effective. Let's take a look at what the amphibious invasion fleet looks like. It's actually very cool the way this is modeled. So here it's going to show us that the number of Marines we need to land, the number of vessels that we need to invade is up here, 0 out of 13. Now these are, it's mostly uncontested because, again, I already raided this base. So there's no way for the enemy to destroy these without bringing in a new fleet. So it's just a matter of time. And that's why we have our landing fleet here. But it's pretty cool that these ships will slowly, and I do mean slowly, it's like 5 knots or something, very slowly make their way to the coast. And then when they start landing on the shore, that's when the counter starts increasing. And as soon as you get to 13, you take over the base. So it's really cool that you can actually defend. Oh, looks like we have... Oh yeah, I need you to climb much higher than you already are. I don't know if you were even listening to me when I gave my previous climb order, because it doesn't seem like you've gotten very high in the air at all. And there is the torpedo protection fleet from TARAWA. I don't know if they're going to sort you out and try to defend Makin Atoll. That would be a very bad decision for them. But, you know, the torpedo bombers are really ineffective in this game anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So this is already exciting. I feel like this is a good pace for the opening episode. Just gonna let the drum do her own thing. They are pretty effective at firing torpedoes on their own, from what I have seen. I'm not gonna mess with that. I guess the next thing to do is, yeah, we can start talking about upgrades. So I'm gonna pause while this is going on, or I guess I can leave it running at 1x and somebody hopefully will let me know if something terrible is... Oh, no, I can't, because... I mean, the next thing I should do is... let's get this spotter fixed first. Make sure that they do their job. They're going to be over 2,000, so that's good. So we just need to spot real fast. It'll see that you can see scouted 0%. We want a minimum of like 80%, I think, is you get the points for scouting. So the war bonds that we get are contingent on our actions. Partly. I mean, partly we get some as income, but you get a bonus every time you do these like actions, like the first time you recon a base, etc. So we just need to fly right over this base. In fact, we can do something like this, and then fly perpendicular so you get these question marks. Then we're going to start actually scouting them the more time we spend over target. 3,000 meters, there it is. It's actually quite a lot. So we might as well scout everything there. Have we already scouted everything there? Yeah, it looks good. I mean, this is cool. We are literally flying over and detecting the base. We're reporting on all the AAA emplacements. They have an active airfield, searchlights, and some coastal guns. Okay, alright. Mission accomplished. Let's return home. Good. And we don't need to be at this altitude anymore. When we go and land, we'll probably decrease that a bit. First, I'm going to make sure we're far enough away from the island that we're not going to be shot down. And then I'll give the land order, and I think that he'll be able to take care of the rest from there. Probably will want to separate the Louisville. We're actually getting uncomfortably close to the amphibious landing ship. I don't want there to be any kind of, incident. They're backing up. We're making a 3-point turn. Burp, burp. I don't want to do those kind of comic things, but it's just funny sometimes the way the behavior of... No ship would do that. So hopefully we'll just keep the immersion going by me. I guess it's led mostly by me not making such comments, but we'll just turn the Louisville and get them to go attack these ships. Okay. So that's all happening. That's well and good. Now let's go and look at... did we sink this, by the way? Okay, the level bomber is about to get there. It might be fun to watch the... She did not respond to my request that she lower her altitude. Okay, that's fine. Might be kind of fun to watch this one in, because the B-17 is going to drop just a crap ton of bombs. Whoops. Okay. This is the expected drop point for the bombs. You can control left click to actually drop them early or whenever you want. We'll be using that tactic for the torpedo bombers. Oh, she doesn't want to drop from this high of height. Okay, fine. We'll move away, and hey, you know what? The best thing to do is actually to come at this thing from the back. We'll be traveling along with her. Our accuracy should be better. And, you know, whatever you're at now is just good enough. So you don't have to micromanage this, but it does end up being more effective, I feel like, when you do. By the way, you guys just go ahead and land. Ah, no. Okay, there we go. Attempt number 2. She's leveled off. That's what a level bomber should do. And here she goes. Any second now. There, bombs away. Here we go. Looks good. We just missed her. Just missed her. So, alright. The next hope is our, what is this? The Catalina type bomber. She's flying relatively low. In fact, we might even want her to increase her altitude a little bit, just so she doesn't get shot down. And attack. Okay, good luck to her. Now, as I was saying, let's go back to the upgrades. So we have all these fleets here. We can actually merge them as well. Probably better just to merge them all into one big fleet. And then we'll separate everyone else out except for the I can't find the other fleet. There's 2 fleets here, but I can't get the other one. Task Force 1. Task Force 8. Okay, Task Force 1. Can you merge with Task Force 8? Huh. Oh, they're the same. Okay. Oh, by the way, we have a Saratoga and Concord. You get these guys over to Pearl Harbor as well. And we have Task Force 2, the Colorado. Yeah, we'll get these guys over here as well. Everyone move to Pearl Harbor. Okay, so now it says that there's 2 fleets. I can't control which ones. Alright, doesn't matter. The main thing is I wanted to showcase the shipyard. So here we go. This is our chance to upgrade the ships. Now, the Litchfield is, from the tutorial, just a Clemson class. 35 cost and 10 war bonds to get radar, not advanced radar, just normal radar, and sub-hunter. Really not the best, I feel. The sub-hunting is very useful, and that's basically the role of the Clemson, is to be a sub-hunter. So I go ahead and bite the bullet, but we won't be building any more Clemsons, I can tell you that. Now the Enterprise, this is the 51 damage aircraft carrier. Just to give some perspective on these AA numbers. Let's pick like some of the other stuff over here. Local 1, Local 1. This is, the Omaha has 6 kilometer range, which is the maximum range I've seen. Usually it's 5, sometimes it's even just 4. This is, I think it speaks for itself. The local AA helps you defend your own ship. The AA strength means the fleet-wide, your ability to throw up flak, you know, discourage the airplanes from approaching, whereas local is like very small caliber weapons, maybe like a 50 cal, that you just shoot at. Usually you shoot at the airplanes after they've already dropped their bombs, because if they're dive bombers, they finally got close enough for you to hit. Or if they're torpedo bombers, they're finally making their turn after they dropped the torpedo, and that's when they're finally close enough to actually hit. So definitely the preference is AA, and a normal value for this, even with the upgrades, is probably around 3 or 4. So this upgrade for the Enterprise plus 11 is absolutely insane. Now it's 105 war bonds, which is very expensive, one of the pricier upgrades, but it's probably the best upgrade for your money. Like, this is fantastic. We get 11 AA, which makes this thing even more impervious. It's not that the Yorktown is... I guess I have to open up this to show the Yorktown, because we can't build her from Pearl Harbor. So the Yorktown is not already... She already has 2 local AA, and the guns she uses, these 8 5-inch guns, they can be switched over to anti-aircraft mode. But this upgrade is just... It's very important to do, I would say. So, we will do it. The Balch, this is a... not a Gridley, but I forgot the name. Is Balch a Balch? It's a destroyer leader. I just currently blank on the name. I really wish I could merge these two. I'll get this to work off camera. Oh, I know what I can do. Okay, 1 and okay, here. You guys merge. It worked. Hooray. Okay, so we'll merge everyone into Able for now. It's a huge fleet, but if we don't crash the game. Get everyone into one single formation. Okay, so now, Balch, what are you? Craven, McDonald, Gridley. Balch, you are a Porter-class destroyer leader. So the Porter-class destroyer leaders, yeah, these are, well, they speak for themselves, destroyer leaders. They're supposed to be in the head of a pack of destroyers. Very good for sub-hunting. And that's why the upgrade for them includes having advanced radar. So most of the Clemson had normal radar. I don't remember, let's take a look at like the Gridley. So even the Gridleys can get advanced radar. It's 20 war bonds. Now it was only 10 for the upgrade to the Clemson. So 20 war bonds for, I guess it's mostly paying for advanced radar. You could basically set a screen of Gridley class destroyers all over the place to make sure you know where the enemy is. And these are really fast at 38 knots. Nothing but aircraft is going to run them down. But yeah, so for the Balch, it's 25 war bonds, 5 extra. But you get, this is the best thing about it, is you get the 3 AA for fleet defense, which makes the Balch, despite being a destroyer leader, and you think as a separate pack of destroyers, it makes it a really good fleet, big fleet destroyer. So we'll upgrade that. The Northampton is one of the cheaper, I would say one of the worst heavy cruisers. We're not going to have access to the other ones for comparison just from this screen because I can't build them yet. I haven't unlocked them. I don't even think I have the ability to build the Portland class yet, even though we have a few already in the game. So the Pensacola and the Northampton, 28 knots on this one, 32 on this. This one, the Pensacola can turn a little bit faster, so it's agile. 10 8-inch guns. Between these two, I would greatly prefer the Pensacola, especially because the upgrade for the Northampton, like the main role for these heavy cruisers, as far as I can tell, is mostly, okay, so they do end up dispatching any fleets of light cruisers or lower. They can easily do that. But probably more importantly, they are going to raid enemy bases. So just like we raided Makin Atoll down in the South Pacific, that's what these are good at because they outrange the coastal fortification guns. So what you want with them is speed. So, and the other thing that they're useful for when they're in a fleet, either a fleet of battleships or probably more often a fleet of carriers, you want them to have really good AA support, anti-aircraft protection. +3 is one of the lowest for the heavy cruisers. Now I'll still do it. It's 60 war bonds, which is insane. It's probably better off getting an upgraded Balch, which is, what was that, 25 plus 55 or 50 or something, so it's like 75. We can almost get an upgraded Balch for the cost of just this upgrade. But the Northamptons, unless they have this, like, how much does a Northampton cost to build? 180? Without this 60 increase, this 180 is kind of useless. So we really do need this. And the advanced radar is also helpful. If we ever want to send these Northamptons off in a fleet of their own, which is definitely something I've considered doing, we'll get to, the exact composition, probably not in this episode, because I see we're already at 40 minutes, but yeah, we'll basically just end up probably sending these off in a fleet of their own because they're slow. I don't want them slowing down my carriers. And this is a great bargain. The Salt Lake City is a Pensacola, and we can see that we get 6 AA for the price of only 45. So it doesn't really make sense. A cost of 60 got you 3 plus advanced radar, but a cost of 45 gets you 6 and 5 kilometer range, which is the standard basically. I probably won't talk about the range unless it's something other than 5. So this is a really good upgrade, and the Pensacola is also 32.5, the perfect speed to keep up with our Yorktown class, like the Yorktown obviously and the Enterprise. Okay, so we'll do this upgrade. It's a no-brainer. The Maury, Craven, Gridley, and McCall, these are all Gridley class. So they're all going to be 20 war bonds to get advanced radar, but most importantly for sub-hunting. And these guys probably will be detached into Portland class cruiser groups. So they'll be making very quick, fast dashes with the Portland class cruisers to raid different bases, like maybe Wake Island, who knows, and other ones as we get further west, hopefully as we start island hopping. So the Lexington, the big difference, as I was already mentioning, between Lexington and the Yorktown class is the difference in damage and the difference in airplane. Their upgrade gives them something which is on the range of the insanity, 19 AA. So I was really talking huge about how amazing 11 is. So I think I might have even said 11 is the biggest in the game, which obviously was a mistake to speak, because I think some of the battleships also have, like maybe North Carolina has like 15. I can't remember exactly, but 19 is just, it's beyond impressive. It's almost impenetrable. Chicago, another Northampton. Portland, absolutely worth it to give her anything. This is the one downside with the Portland, is just like the Northampton. And now notice it only costs 25 war bonds, so I think they're abstracting in the fact that Northampton's really old and it was not difficult to add even AA to her. But the Portland class, it was, I don't know, somehow easier to throw on the extra anti-aircraft equipment, so we'll do that. Porter, this is this is the Porter class destroyer leader. So yeah, absolutely we want these to have it. This is a very good fleet upgrade. We're down to 108 war bonds. Now, I already built everything I want to build for the very start of the war, which is the Gato class. So the only other thing I want to do is build a extra convoy fleet, so we have some extra convoys to go around. And that's going to cost us 300. I won't be able to do it now. So I might as well just do the upgrades. Now, the one thing I don't need to upgrade are the battleships. But you can see that this is pretty expensive. They get 9 extra for the Pennsylvania, 7 for the Maryland, and she also gets +3 local AA. -1 aircraft flights, but that doesn't matter. You probably don't need more than 3, or I've gotten by even with just having 2 scouter aircraft, the Kingfishers. And this takes it down from 4 to 3, which is just fine. So the Chandler, this is going to be another one of our Clemson class, I believe, for the 10 war bonds. We can see now it's really quite cheap, and the sub-hunter part of it, the best thing about it. Another Clemson class here, we'll do that upgrade. So we'll leave the battleships alone because they're not going to vacate. They're not going to sort you out from Pearl Harbor just yet. I actually think Maryland and Tennessee, we can't even upgrade them, not just because we don't have the money, and hey, 230 is quite a lot of money. But they're damaged anyways, so we need them to sit in port and repair. Okay, so that's good. This has been, I think, enough for episode 1, and I hope you're starting to see glimmers of how great this game can be. Like all these decisions we can make, all these choices about what to upgrade. And the very next thing we'll do, I guess at the start of the next episode, which I'll be licking my lips about, is we'll determine a couple of our original fleet compositions, and we'll start sorting out with at least 1 carrier task force, and probably also a heavy cruiser Northampton cruiser class, or yeah, I think it'll be a Northampton cruiser group, because we don't want those slower ones slowing down our carrier task force anyway. So that's going to do it for this episode. Now, I am calling this episode 1 in the playlist, so I hate to ask again, but if you wouldn't mind pressing thumbs up and giving this video a like, that'll help its visibility on YouTube, especially because it's episode 1 of a playlist, so it's the most important video. And then I won't ask again for the future. Other than that, I just really get excited about playing this game, and I've already seen a lot of the potential. We haven't yet unlocked the amazing, this amazing moment when you suddenly discover some aircraft north of Johnston Island, and you realize that there's no land base nearby, so they must have a carrier fleet there, and then trying to scramble back to somehow deal with that. All those fun moments, I believe, are in store for us, but we'll have to wait for those to happen. So until the next episode, thanks for watching, and take care.